evening, everybody, and welcome to the Fall River Housing Authority Commissioners meeting. It is Thursday, October 14th, 2021. Attorney Souza, could you read the open meeting law, please?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The language for the open meeting law is as follows. Pursuant to the open meeting law, any person may make an audio or video recording of this public meeting or may transmit the meeting through any medium. Attendees are therefore advised that such recordings or transmissions are being made, whether perceived or unperceived, by those present and are deemed acknowledged and permissible.
Martha, will you read call the roll, please?
Chairwoman Sahadi is absent. Vice Chairman Underhill?
Here.
Commissioner Burns?
Here.
Commissioner Bentley?
Here.
Commissioner Madeira?
Okay, the first item on the agenda is the citizens' input. Do we have any citizens? Don't see any. So we move on to the next, resident input. Do we have any resident input? Mr. Gagne.
That would be us. Thank you. You all have in front of you a picture of the William H. King Memorial, Veterans Memorial Garden that you all approved at the last meeting. That's a preliminary. It's not finished yet, but that's the beginning. That's what it's going to look like once it's done. We've got stone to add in and some plants to put on. Mike, I'm sorry. Ed's gonna. Thank you, Debbie. Ed's gonna come over and he's gonna cut the poles at the top, and we're gonna add the caps to them, stain them, put some fancier screws to hold a plate on, and then sometime the week of November 11th, we're hoping to have a dedication. You'll all be notified. We'd like to invite all of you to attend, along with a veterans group, and of course, Bill's daughter.
Very nice.
Thank you. Other than that, one thing, in my travels around the developments over the last month, talking to both management and tenants, I think what we need to do is increase or shorten the time frame to get a camera survey done and find out what cameras are working and aren't working. I got a call Sunday morning about a motorcycle in one of the buildings, inside the building. If we'd had cameras in the right places, we would have known it was there. It's been there for a while, in and out. So Sunday morning, there was a motorcycle in this building. This one. It was removed. All right, Mike Laniers took care of it for us. The second shift, I guess the night crew come in and informed the resident, or non-resident, we don't know, that it either went or it went, one way or the other.
Was he storing it in the building?
He rides it. Tim, look at yeah. So yeah, if we had better camera systems, and a couple of other issues, managers have tried to look at things and the camera's not working. We really need to get that speeded up. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gagne. The next item is minutes of the regular meeting held on September 13th, 2021. The recommended action is to accept. Do I have a motion to accept?
Motion to accept minutes.
Second.
Motion to accept and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Next is bills and communications. The vouchers. The recommended action is to accept. I have a motion. You all have one?
Motion to accept.
Second.
Motion to accept and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The next item is management reports, which include applications, occupancy report, tenants accounts receivable, work order report, monthly Section 8 voucher activity report, monthly personnel count report, Director of Modernization monthly report, and the bank investment and bond debt balance reports. The recommended action is to accept. Does anybody have anything to say? Mr. Barrow?
No, nothing that would be a negative, anything that would stand out. I would just comment that the positive trends have continued. The occupancy, I think, is up to 97.5%. The turnover of work orders is continuing, the number of days required continuing to go down. So the trend remains on a positive note all around. The receivables too. Have received word today from our Assistant Director of Management that through the Sheriff program, we've collected or have at least sent for collected and requested $200,000 in tenant accounts receivables. So it's a big impact. Our average monthly receivable balance authority-wide is about $400,000. So kudos to Deb and her staff. We just started, well, our new assistant started, but he's been helping out for a while now to get these balances processed. So it's a great program, and everything, again, it just seems to be all cylinders are firing pretty well.
Thank you. Any questions from anyone?
I do have a question for the executive director. Just, you had mentioned the occupancy is up at 97.5%, I think you said. It does seem like it's up. Historically, do we have an idea of what that number was? I feel like it used to be in the low 90s, so is it up about 3-4%? Is that?
Nope, you're right.
Am I making that up?
Low 90s. Nope, you're right on there.
That's
It's only been, Kathleen, what, the last year and a half?
3 years since facilities management resumed oversight of site maintenance, site level maintenance. And we've developed a whole protocol for vacancy turnaround, and that was, I want to say Kevin was still the director of facilities at the time when we implemented it. But these are the fruits of that labor now, all that work to revamp. Has increased our occupancy. We're no longer on HUD's hot list for occupancy rates. We've held a steady 97 plus for the last 2 years.
You kind of answered my next question, which was what are we attributing that to, and it's kind of the reorg, if you will.
It was staff reorg, but it was also formalizing the procedure, for unit turnaround, really clarifying everybody's roles, responsibilities, expectations, and timelines, putting out procedural guidance to staff so everybody's on the same page across all the developments, and it's working. It's working.
It clearly is, so I just want to say thank you. Great job to everybody.
Yeah, it was a joint effort between management and facilities.
Good job.
So kudos to them as well.
Yeah, and not to belabor the point, but the site with the lowest occupancy percentage right now is Cardinal Madeiras. And what we've done to increase that is we've converted some efficiency units to 1-bedrooms. And you'll see later on in the agenda, we'll be recommending that we go to a phase 2, which means another floor of unit conversions. And that helps dramatically in that specific building.
Yep.
So, everybody is doing a great job out there. And, I think having the maintenance leaders is fantastic.
That's good to see. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, I need a motion to accept.
Motion to accept.
Second.
Motion to accept, seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Next, item 5 is the financial reports. Director of Finance. A, the financial reports for August 2021.
Yeah, Amber is unable to be with us this evening. The budget to actuals are running in a favorable capacity. The Section 8 program is about a break even on the HAP reserves. We're a little bit in a deficit position, not too much, but we have $1 or $2 million. It's a lot of money on deposit with HUD that we can draw upon. So we'll be doing that probably next month. But I expect also we'll have a revision to the budget next month to hone in on some of the revenue line items. So everything's going in a positive direction so far this year.
Okay. Any questions? None? Okay, I need a motion to approve.
Motion to approve the financial reports.
Second.
Second.
seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Next, item 6 is the update from the executive director.
Yes, thank you. Just a few items this evening, nothing lengthy. Last month, we just went through all our REAC inspections for several of our sites, and the results have been really, really favorable. We're very impressed with the work that both the management staff and the maintenance staff have done over the last year or so. Baresi came in at a score of 96. Pleasant View, this is out of 100. Pleasant View came in at 90. We had Holmes at 95, Bates and Tower at 94. Benny Costa was 72, and it's actually not Benny Costa, it's that entire AMP, which includes Fordney, Riley Apartments. My thought is those are really what drag down that number. Benny Costa, I talked with the maintenance manager there, and he felt that based on the pre-REAC inspection through our contractor, he scored really well, and a lot of work was done between that time and the inspection here. So unfortunately, HUD does not do the REAC by site, they do it by AMP, and it's just named the Benny Costa AMP. And then Cardinal Madeira was a 74, which is up from a 67 the prior year. So improvement all around. We're still waiting to hear on score for Doolin Apartments. For some reason, that has not been released. Yes?
Mr. Farrow, so the scores that you're referring to, what is the relevance of those scores? Like, obviously, higher scores imply better results, but at what point does a score trigger a significant concern or some significant action?
Yeah, I think under 70, and Kevin, correct me if I'm wrong, under 70 is deemed,
It's a return visit the following year. I believe 75 to 85 is 2 years, and then 90 and above they come back 3 years, which it's kind of a reward that you're doing what you're supposed to be doing.
But is there a score that renders it uninhabitable, or is that not factored in?
Not uninhabitable. Unfortunately, the lowest point reduction is inside the units, and the exterior of the building, the grounds, the site are the biggest hits. So if the inspector walked across the lawn and there was a divot in the lawn, that could be a few point hit. Whereas inside the apartment, if smoke detectors, CO detectors are missing, it's percentage of a point. Now, they are working to change it, the inspection standards, but they still haven't finalized it yet. They're going back and forth, and that kind of puts not only Fall River, but other housing authorities at a disadvantage, because we're trying to make repairs based on the pre-REAC inspections and what we find. However, if they change the ruling on how the point total is worked against you, it changes everything. So I believe it's the UPS inspections, and then there's now Nspire, but they haven't finalized which one they're going to use yet. So there's kind of two sets of books, if that makes any sense.
It helps. I just was trying to understand some of the framework around what your scores represent. Thank you.
Obviously, if you have a failing score consistently, they're going to intervene, and it will be under some corrective action. HUD will step in and say, hey, you failed 2-3 years in a row. And that also, not only the vacancy rate and the work order turnaround, management and facilities have worked well together to increase these REAC. Prior to the restructuring, a lot of these scores were miserable, and we continue to improve on that aspect of the restructuring as well, the REAC scores. Again, Kathleen, Deb, Ed, and his staff do a tremendous job. Arthur with the modernization work. It really helps. It's a team effort.
Thank you.
The other item I was going to mention is on our utilities. Everyone knows, I think, that the cost of gas, natural gas, has been going up. Cost of electricity also. Well, last year we, as we do every 2-3 years, entered into a bulk purchase agreement where we lock in the rates for 2 to 3 years, and it's anticipated, assuming the gas and electric levels stay level, the current levels, we should save about $250,000 in gas and maybe $300,000 in electricity. So it's a beneficial program, and that will be up for review and hopefully renewal next year in the summer. And just the last item, the union held elections, and there's a new president. You all are used to dealing with Jason Forcier. We are in negotiations, and this year the union has elected Joey Da Silva. I was hoping Joey would be here this evening so everyone could put a face to a name, although I think most of you have a face to a name. But so we'll be working with Joey in the days and years going forward. And that's my report tonight.
Thank you. Next item is old business. Item A, excuse me, is a COLA increase for the executive director, retroactive to 4/1/2021. And I'd like to entertain a motion to move this to executive session.
At the end of the meeting, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, at the end of the meeting, I'm sorry.
At the board's pleasure, someone can make a motion to request that it go to the end of the, for the purposes of time management, we can move it to the end of the meeting to go along with all the other items for executive session.
Motion to move this item to the end, and we'll bring it into executive session.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thanks. Next is new business. Number 1, modernization. A, architectural engineering A&E contract awards for indefinite quantity deliver services at 18 federally aided developments. The recommended action is to award 18-month contracts with option to extend for an additional 18 months to CES, CBI Consulting, LLC, C.A. Crowley Engineering, Incorporated, Civitex Professional Corporation, JMBA and Architects, RGB Architects, Edward Rouse Architects, and William Stark Architects Incorporated. Is that just for information?
No.
There's
No, that would be for action. Kevin, do you want to add to
Oh, I'm
this?
sorry.
So, every 18 months with the option of an additional 18-month extension, the Housing Authority requests proposals from designers, architects, engineers for house stock positions within the Housing Authority for the modernization department whenever we're going to do roof replacements, window replacements, boiler replacements. So the contract's expired. Arthur put together in modernization a packet. It went out. It was advertised. It went out to a bunch of designers, and then they all submit proposals, and then the committee of Arthur, Ed, and myself, we rate the designers. There's a rating schedule, and these are who we agreed to select. Some are repeat, a couple of new ones. So I believe there's 6 architectural firms and 2 engineering firms.
So we just need a motion to award.
Motion.
I have a question
Yes.
of Attorney Souza. I'm not sure if I should abstain on this, as I used to work for one of these companies, and I currently have
I'm sorry, Commissioner, that last
Working-
part, you were currently working for?
I used to work for one of these companies,
Okay.
and am currently
How long ago was did you work for them?
up to 2004.
So 2004 was the last time you did? I don't think-
I'm sorry,
I
2005.
mean, if you feel more comfortable, Commissioner, I would abstain. We have a quorum here, so that the quorum would, the vote would pass.
Yeah, I also have current dealings with a couple of others on this list.
Within the same agenda item? Okay, so then it would be it would be appropriate to abstain. Okay.
So, need a motion to award? Or do you have another
Make a
question?
motion to award.
Second.
Abstain.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
One abstention. So one abstention would be noted for the record.
Right. Okay, next is item B. Permission to advertise for bids for elevator improvements, cabs 3 and 4, estimated cost $900,000, and apartment conversions, estimated cost $350,000 at Cardinal Madeira's Towers. The recommended action is to approve.
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion is, recommended action was to approve. I had a motion and it was seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Item C is certificate of substantial completion for site improvements at Core Bishop Eade Apartments.
Motion to approve.
Motion was approved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Item D, certificate of final completion for site improvements at Core Bishop Eade Apartments. Recommended action is approved. To approve.
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Approved, and it was, we had an approval, no, that's not how I say it, right? We had a motion to approve, and it was seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Item E, certificate of completion consolidated balcony repairs at Raymond D. Holmes Apartments and at Francis J. Baresi Heights. The recommended action is to approve.
I make,
Motion to approve.
second.
Motion was approved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, we go on to item F. Certificate of substantial completion for elevator modernization at Cardinal Madeira's Towers. Recommended action to approve.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion approved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Item G, contract award for architectural engineering, A&E design services for the Gateway Award Comprehensive Project at Maple Gardens. The recommended action is to award the contract to Williams Stock Architects Incorporated in the amount of $925,922.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion was approved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Abstain.
One abstention. Item H, change order number two for Maple Gardens basement upgrades. Change order number 2 is an increase of $239,445.94 to the contract amount for addition of LED lighting and window refilling, and an additional 30 days to the contract time. The recommended action is to approve.
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion to approve and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Item I, requested smoke alarm replacement at 18 sites via proprietary, thank you, Kevin. Item for First Alert SC7010 series hardware, photoelectric smoke and CO combination alarms as currently used throughout the Fall River Housing Authority. The recommended action is to approve.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Item J, change order number 1 for boiler and domestic water heater replacement at Cardinal Madeira's Towers. The change order number 1 is an increase of $31,083.24 for 2 hot water supply pumps, P5 and P4. The recommended action is to approve.
Make a motion to approve?
Second.
Motion approved, all, and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
And we go on to number 2, it's miscellaneous. An open meeting law determination by Attorney General's office regarding executive session minutes. The recommended action is it's for information.
Just for
Yes.
just for an overview, Mr. Chairman, I just wanted we're going to just to announce that the executive session minutes were reviewed. I gave you a copy of all of them. I had reviewed all of them, and we are not releasing any at the current time. So that the Attorney General's office wrote us a letter. There's no findings or violations with respect to the complaint filed by the particular person on here, and that we're going to do the next review in March. And I just wanted to make sure that we announce that at the meeting because it has to be included in the minutes so that we forward that to the Attorney General's office. So, that's it.
Thank you. Item B, Section 8 CARES Act fund items. Number 1, 2 interactive kiosks. Number 2, software and hardware for paperless program administration. Number 3, replacement of telephone system. Number 4, incentive provision to attract new landlords. And number 5, conference room video/audio needs. The recommended action is for permission to expand funds. Cost estimates will be provided at the board meeting.
Sure, if I can address this, I'll start out and then we'll have, if need be, Kevin can throw in his thoughts on it, as well as Kathleen Povar is here. Early in 2021, I believe, HUD gave both public housing and Section 8 operating funds to help deal with the COVID crisis that was upon us. It's similar to the CARES money that the city and towns have received. So our public housing funds, we received about 1.3 million that we have spent. So that's completely expended. As you can imagine, public housing is quite a big program. We had the security, additional security services here. We had all the cleaning, additional cleaning going on. So frankly, we could have used more money there. Section 8 program, they gave us $1 million. There weren't a lot of things that we found that we could do. So with the deadline coming up, we really put our search on for things that would make the department more efficient, more servicing to the residents, and that's how this list came up. All right, so it was a bottom-up approach. It came up from the Section 8 department level up to management, and we've looked at it, and we think this, including finance, that these projects would be a good use of the monies. We haven't actually gone out for specific pricing yet. Everything will be competitively sought after. The main thing is we just want to make you aware and get permission to go after these items. The first 2 items are interactive kiosks. These would be placed down in the Section 8 lobby, if you will, where residents can come in and Section 8 voucher holders, and instead of going to the window, they can scan documents right at the kiosk. They can look up any information, possibly make payment. Kathleen can provide a lot more information as far as the use of those. And those run about $25,000 each. So they'll be interactive for the residents. And one thing we may even look at is placing one of these, say at a library or some other facility within the city that may, alleviate travel. Because again, if they can just interact with the computer itself, which is what a kiosk is, without coming down here, that's benefiting everybody. The next item is basically making the Section 8 department operate paperless. Instead of copying documents, turning in documents, we'd like to just scan everything, have it all saved in the cloud, accessible in that method. So the cost for that is $22,000. Replacement of the telephone system. Telephone system is very old, similar to the one in public housing, so that's about $9,000. It actually would be internet-based, voice over internet protocol, VoIP type of system we would use. The fourth item would be to help to expand our Section 8 program to more residents. And to do that, we need to have more units available to rent. And to do that, we need more landlords. So there's going to be a landlord incentive program. Kathy can share some of her thoughts on what that program would entail. I would envision that.
I can speak to that.
Okay.
So, obviously with the pandemic and the eviction moratorium, residents didn't have to move, so it dried up the turnover of units. We have a lot of vouchers out on the street, Section 8 vouchers. Unfortunately, the people with the voucher can't find units. There's just not enough units out there, not enough landlords that have units or are willing to participate. And we're not, Fall River is not unique. That's statewide, probably countrywide. And with the fair market rents being so high, there's really no advantage to a landlord to say, I want to participate in the Section 8 program because my rent, I'll get more rent than the fair market rent. There was a time years ago where the Section 8 rent was higher than the fair market rent, but times have changed, things have evolved. So we had discussions with our HUD representative, Caitlin Johnson. There are many housing authorities across the state that are offering incentive programs to landlords, to existing landlords, and to attract new landlords. And they're doing anywhere from a $500 to $1,000 or a month's rent sign-on bonus. So, for example, if I have vacant units, I want to join the program. If I lease up someone with a voucher, I'll get a $1,000 bonus. If an existing landlord has a vacancy and they lease up to another voucher holder, they'll get a $1,000 bonus. We have about 180 landlords now that participate in the program. So just rough math, hypothetically, let's just say everyone had a unit to offer and we paid out a $1,000 bonus, you'd be looking at about $180,000. We have $910,000 in the Section 8 fund to spend by December 31st, 2021. Not obligated, spend it. So we're up against it right now. We've got people on the program that can't find apartments. They have the voucher, they can't find the unit. So what the plan is to advertise, send a mass mailing out to the current landlords, advertise it a couple of times, and hope to attract new landlords and keep existing landlords participating, because again, it's really competitive now because the fair market rents are higher in some areas of the city than the Section 8. So there's no, what's the advantage to a landlord? They don't have to have their apartment inspected by, our inspection services. Following some of the advice from our HUD representative, some of our staff have attended trainings at other housing authorities. They're already doing it. And we've got this money to use. So that's the plan, is to offer a $1,000 incentive for both existing and any new landlord that leases up as a voucher holder. Sure.
So besides taking the advice of your counterparts at HUD, do we have any conversations here within the city to make sure that other departments are on board with the moves that we're proposing to take on additional
Well, it's not an increase where HUD has said, here's 100 more vouchers to give out. It's, you lose some every month. People turn them in, people pass away, so you're just maintaining more or less.
So at the end of this incentive, we're gonna net out at 0?
Yeah, you're not gonna really have,
We're not increasing?
you're not increasing because you're losing some as well. So we're allocated so much money for so many vouchers. There's not 3 busloads of people coming in with a voucher from somewhere. These are existing residents that may have been on the list for up to 3 years, and their name comes up through attrition. You know, people pass on, people give it up, people go into nursing homes. I don't know, Kathleen, am I accurate?
We also removed the program for committing fraud, unreported income.
Right.
Failure to meet their family obligations under the program. So certain percentage of people leaving the program are terminated by us, as opposed to
So if
voluntarily leaving.
this is unexpected money, correct? The CARES Act extended?
Yes.
Well, it's been there for a little while now, but
Sure, but
yeah, it's not an every year.
that's my point. So
yeah.
if this hadn't occurred, what would the course of action have been if we didn't have this windfall of money that?
May I speak? Because you can use, HUD allows, CARES Act money aside, HUD allows housing authorities to utilize their cash reserves in order to incentivize landlords. So even without the CARES money being a factor, we would still be able to strategize. This is one of the strategies to increase your capitalization. So, meaning spending down the money, spending down what HUD allocates to us at the beginning of every year. So we're also trying to fight against that sort of number. You actually want to spend down your dollars. You don't want to be sitting on an amount of cash at the end of the year because HUD will capture them.
Commissioner, and I think if I understand your concern is, we're attracting new residents, but as Kathleen said, so we have about 2,040 participants in the program now. And each month that fluctuates 10, 20, 30. It drops, and then we go back to that number, then it drops, and we go back. So it's really the same pool of people. We're not getting more people into
There
the
won't be
city.
a spike in those numbers.
Exactly. That's going to put a strain on the school department, on utilities. I know what you mean by
These
that.
are
But
also vouchers that have already been issued and they're surging right now. So we have about 80 plus vouchers on the street, as it were, meaning they were screened, eligible, issued a voucher, and they've been looking, and they're finding themselves hard pressed to find a unit. So landlord engagement is one of the strategies for, and also really, I think there's gonna be some more handholding that's gonna have to happen to get these vouchers leased. But I'm working with the leased housing department right now to come up with certain strategies to increase our utilization.
and just to add a little bit more, due to the pandemic, HUD is even allowing it. On normal conditions, we would have to have the unit inspected for everything prior to anybody getting leased up. They're allowing the landlord to self-certify as long as there's no health and safety issues. And then within 60 days, I think it is, we have to get in there and do a physical inspection just to get these people leased up, because there's just such a shortage of units out there. And again, Fall River is not unique. This is across the state. So I hope
Thank
that
you.
helps. Yeah.
Yep, appreciate it.
Anything else from the commission?
And the last item is, there's a conference room there.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
That's okay, thank you, Dave. That we want to just set it up with a widescreen TV, audio, video to do, training within that room. So maybe up to $5,000, whatever that comes in to configure and buy the hardware. Okay, so, what we're looking for is permission to go ahead and pursue these items in accordance with our procurement policies. And again, the big thing is that the money needs to be spent by the 31st.
So again, the recommended action is for permission, excuse me, to expend the funds, and we don't have any cost estimates.
Well, I just ran through those.
Okay.
Again, the kiosks, total of about 50,000.
That's right, I'm sorry.
The paperless, about 22. Telephone system, 9,000, and that actually is an estimate. Kevin just ran through the 200,000. We have 180 landlords, and then the video probably up to 5,000. So we will, with the exception of the landlords, those other items will be coming back to the board for approval to issue the check, if you will, because we still have November's meeting. If we get into anything tight situation, we'll know by then.
Is that still leaving a pretty large gap, though, between the money that was given and
It is.
what this accounts for?
So the rough amount is not even 300,000. You have 910, so you're still left with 600. But there's just not enough time to get that money spent. I think a lot of municipalities and organizations that receive these are having that same struggle. I mean, we rarely, in all honesty, we should have acted on this sooner.
So the
it was
unspent
talked
money
about.
gets sent back to them?
Yes.
There's always a chance that HUD issues guidance saying to keep it. But
My experience is the federal government isn't too likely to ask for their money back.
Right.
They want you to spend it by a certain date. We've had, different grants within the fire department that, they don't want the money back.
Yep. And it's the nature of the program. I mean, we could give out $2,000, but is that responsible? Probably not.
Hopefully they give us some time to expend it all and get the best use out of it.
I think the only thing you may see is they might extend the deadline.
So we just need the permission to expend that money.
Yes.
There's a motion to give permission or authorize the spending.
Second.
Okay, motion to expend and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Next, item C, the Family Self-Sufficiency FSS Program Action Plan. The recommended action is to approve the changes.
Yeah, and these changes are an update to the Family Self-Sufficiency Plan. In the introduction, it talks about the demographics, characteristics of the city of Fall River, so it's just updating those numbers. And then there was some wording clarification regarding when someone can leave the program and return. So it's just tightening up that language or making it more clear. And this is a good program. A resident can go into it, and if they say they have an increase in income, instead of their rent going up, they can join this program, and it saves them money, puts it in escrow. And they come up with goals. They have to explain why they want the money, what are they saving for, whether it's an education, it can be a car, it can be a home. We've actually had residents who put away close to, if not $20,000. They've saved that much, and they've moved out. So it's a really great program. We have 2 employees working in the program. So, they're always doing outreach. Section 8 tenants are also eligible. So it's a really great program. So this is, again, it's just the actual plan itself that's updated.
Any questions?
Make a motion to approve.
Motion approved.
Second.
Motion approved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Item D, Section 8 Payment Standards, effective November 1st, 2021. The recommended recommended action is to approve the adoption of new payment standards at 110% of FMRs. Which might, what are FMRs?
Fair market rents. Yeah, last month the board, we actually brought before the board a increase to 107%, but there was apparently some miscommunication between the staff and HUD, thinking they could not go to the 110%, but we can. So that was our first inclination. So we want to not rescind it, but then we just want to bring the 110% to the board and request approval for the 110% for the coming year. So as you can see, a one-bedroom apartment would allow us to have a landlord charge up to $1,129 for a unit. It used to be $500. It just goes up and
That's to
up.
compete with the private market.
Okay, so we have the recommended action to approve the adoption.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
A motion to approve and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Item E is John Deere subcompact tractors 2022 TX. The recommended action is permission to purchase 3 tractors from United Agricultural and Turf in a total amount of $33,724.26.
And these are,
Yeah, what are these used for?
they're primarily going to be used for transportation of the maintenance staff and tools and supplies around the sites. Tractors is, I think tractors is a little misleading. They call them tractors, but glorified golf carts. If you're familiar with Sunset Hill, Diaferio, go from end to end, you're a quarter mile. So this will be used, instead of having employees walk all the way up and forget that screwdriver and walk all the way back to the shop. It'll make things a little more efficient. So this is a purchase 3 of those. Delivery date isn't scheduled until what?
I would say now they're on strike at least 6 months.
So we won't have them till next summer.
Are these gonna be equipped with anything, Ed, or just for transportation?
These are actually, as Tim said, they're glorified golf carts. They're simple. They're not four-wheel drive. They're not diesel powered. They're a gasoline powered glorified golf cart with a hydraulic, a tilting body in the back that's going to have the tools in the back and all the stock that they need to go to every apartment. As you can imagine, Sunset Hill, Father DeFario, especially PV, the amount of walking and the time that we lose with guys, and I can't blame them. They can only carry so much stuff in a bucket. They're using the one that we purchased for snow plowing over at Sunset Hill, and it's working out perfectly. The problem is that it's a very expensive machine, and I don't want to see it get ruined. I want to use it only for snow as we purchased it for. This would take the place of that at Sunset Hill. The one at Sunset Hill right now would go back to Father DeFario for snow plowing and forwarding and probably North Rockland. We use that primarily for snow plowing. I just don't want it to get ruined because it's the same price as these 3 for one of them. So these guys, with the efficiency would go up considerably just by them picking up the time of not walking back and forth to the shop at the end of the day.
And these aren't street usable, right?
No, these
They
are
have to
actually,
stay
we use them
site.
on our property only, and that's it. They're not like the John Deere Gator that you can actually drive on the street.
Right.
These are only made to be at our sites. They'll be permanently parked at the sites.
Anybody have any questions?
I would go on record and just suggest that I would have some difficulty purchasing from a company that has their workers out on strike right now. I'm a labor guy. You know, I don't know if we have any other companies that we've looked at. I mean, I'm not trying to sway the entire board. It's a concern that I have.
I feel what you're saying here, but the reason why we're using the John Deere's is because we've had good luck with the other ones that we've purchased. We purchased diesel tractors and this last Gator. We have a company that does our servicing on them. I'm hoping that it's not going to be a long strike. I'm just saying.
Yeah, it just began too.
It just began today, and as of yesterday, they were almost there on our union negotiations to settle it.
Yeah.
And then this morning, I was driving into work and I heard that it wasn't, that they were on strike.
They went out a few hours ago. So.
Yes. And just to let you know, we advertised for four places, and we had one price come back for one place. So, I mean, we could go out and maybe go to a Kubota, but then now we're swapping out to a different territory, different machine, where we have to get different people to repair it or service it.
What is your timeline? I mean, they could be on strike for a week. Is it appropriate to bring it back to the next month?
Well, I'll be honest with you, we can't, I don't think that'd be a bad thing. I asked a couple of days ago to the guy in Taunton, and I told Tim, he gave me a March or April time frame, actually end of February, and I told Tim probably middle of March. So I can actually contact him and see if that number is still a good number. It could possibly be. I don't know if it's just a problem with them being on strike. It was not, we still haven't received the tractor that we bought in the spring this year, that we were promised 2 weeks ago. So I think it's just a supply issue right now, more of anything else.
I understand. Individually, I couldn't support it at this time. I would be in favor of tabling it, or if the rest of the board wants to vote on it and approve it, I understand that. I'm not trying to overpower this board, but that's something I personally can't vote for at this time.
And if you'd like next month, I can actually bring you back a time frame. Maybe by next month it'll be over.
Anything else?
So do you
Yeah.
want to, first
Yeah,
you want to entertain a
motion
motion
to
to table prior to a motion to approve? So.
Yeah, if you get the votes for a table, then
Yeah.
we
We
just
can-
move on.
exactly.
So, we got a motion to table. Seconded. So, motion to table and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Table it till next one.
So, motion to table, can we just amend it, motion to table for 30 days?
30 days.
That's
Okay.
sufficient.
Yep.
Thanks, Ed.
Thank you.
All right. Section 3. Public Housing Administrative Assistant, this is personnel, I'm sorry. Public Housing Administrative Assistant position. The recommended action is to approve the appointment of Alex Ramirez.
This is backfilling a vacant position.
Motion to approve the appointment.
Have an approve in a second.
Mr. Chairman, we'll need
Martha,
a
roll call.
Yep. Commissioner Burns?
Yes.
Commissioner Maderas? Commissioner Bentley?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Underhill?
Yes. That's it, right? Now we go to this one. Okay. As stipulated on the agenda, we anticipate executive session pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A 2 and Section 21A 3 to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining or litigation if an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining or litigating position of the public body and the chair declares. As the chairman, I will note for the record that if a discussion is taken up in open session, it will have a detrimental effect on the negotiating position of the Fall River Housing Authority. So do I have a motion to move this matter into executive session?
Motion to go into executive session.
Second.
Motion to move, seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, rather than have before we go into executive session, I know that it was a request from the board before that rather than have the board reconvene in open session after the executive session, if it's at the pleasure of the board, we can make a motion or just announce that you plan on making a motion to adjourn the monthly board meeting in executive session. That way we don't keep everyone here until later.
Do I read that now?
If you want to read that, we can do
Okay.
that. We could do it officially that way.
Rather than have the board reconvene in open session after executive session, as chair, I will announce that the board will move to adjourn the monthly board meeting in executive session. So now we have the motion to go into executive session.
It was already,
Yep,
it was
already
already.
Made and
we did that.
seconded.
We're all
Yep.
set.
All in favor?
Aye.